From Washington, this is VOA News. I'm Steve Miller reporting. South Korean President Moon Jae-in said North Korea has expressed its desire for complete denuclearization of the Korean peninsula and is not seeking conditions. However, U.S. President Donald Trump said Wednesday he'd be willing to walk away from the highly anticipated summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un if he doesn't think much will amount from it. Sagar Magani has more.
The president already sent his CIA chief to meet with Kim Jong-un, the most high-level U.S. contact with the regime in nearly 2 decades. He says he will meet with Kim in the coming weeks and do everything possible to make that a success. But if he doesn't think it will be, he won't go. Sagar Magani, Washington.
Despite frequent assurances that they continue to enjoy a warm friendship, U.S. President Donald Trump and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, over 2 days of talks, apparently failed to bridge significant differences on major trade issues. Josh Replogle takes a look at Cuba's Miguel Diaz-Canel, who is the sole candidate to be the country's next president.
Diaz-Canel would be the first man without the name Castro to hold the top government position in Cuba since Fidel Castro seized power in the 1959 revolution. Few people expect real change in Cuba, as Castro is expected to maintain a powerful role while serving as head of the island's Communist Party. But there is hope that a new generation of leaders will tackle deep-seated issues and improve relations with the United States.
That was reporter Josh Replogle. For additional stories as well as in-depth coverage, be sure to point your web browser to our website or download our mobile application to take the stories with you. This is VOA News. Syrian state media say hundreds of rebel fighters in a town northeast of Damascus have handed in their weapons and started to leave under an evacuation deal. Under the agreement, the rebels are allowed to move with their families to opposition-held areas in the country's north, effectively surrendering their turf to Syrian government forces. China's Ministry of Commerce spokesman Gao Feng criticized the U.S. Thursday for penalizing one of the Asian country's most prominent tech companies, saying the move will hurt the U.S. itself, cost tens of thousands of jobs, and affect related American enterprises. On Monday, the U.S. Commerce Department barred ZTE for 7 years from importing American components in a case involving exports of telecom equipment to Iran and North Korea. Gao said the move will also shake the confidence of international community towards the investment and business environment. The United States is hopeful of reaching an agreement with Britain, France, and Germany to address U.S. concerns about the Iran nuclear deal. U.S. Disarmament Ambassador Robert Wood told a news conference in Geneva Thursday. Pernell Murdoch has more.
Wood said that the discussions were intense ahead of a May 12 deadline and said the United States had concerns about a failure to address Iran's ballistic missile program, a 10-year sunset clause for limits on Iran's nuclear programs, and Iran's general behavior in the Middle East. Wood added that he was hopeful that an agreement could be reached that the president would feel comfortable with. Pernell Murdoch, VOA News.
The European Union said it could impose further sanctions on Venezuela if it believes democracy is being undermined after its president called for elections next month that the main opposition has said it will boycott. Jeff Custer has that story.
EU Foreign Affairs Chief Federica Mogherini said in a statement that she regretted the way the authorities under President Nicolas Maduro had called the May 20th presidential and legislative elections without a consensus on the conditions for a credible and inclusive electoral process. Venezuela has tumbled into an economic and social crisis, with millions suffering food and medicine shortages, hyperinflation, and growing insecurity, which critics say is the result of the dysfunctional policies of Maduro's government. The collapse has driven an estimated 3 million people to flee the country. Jeff Custer, VOA News.
A shallow earthquake in central Indonesia has killed 3 people and damaged more than 300 homes. Indonesia's Meteorological and Geophysics Agency said the magnitude 4.4 quake occurred Wednesday at a depth of 4 kilometers and was centered about 52 kilometers north of Kebumen, a densely populated